Hey, what's going on, everybody? Class is in session. Gym leader Justin here.
And I'm Zero.
We've also got a guest on the channel. We've got PMC Connor. Say what's up, buddy.
Hey guys, this is Panzer Tank here from Great Lakes Outdoor Wonders. How you guys doing?
Really happy to have him. He's part of our, this is, having him on one of these discussions where, and he's got his own avatar now. He's been featured a couple times on some Unite videos. We're christening him as the official, first honorary member of the PMC crew going on the YouTube channel now. Mm-hmm. So he's going to be our guest spotlight today, helping us we're going to do a PMC Unite tier list. So we are going to talk, the first patch just came out. We are going to be talking about pre-patch and post-patch, and we'll make the distinction in the video. But when we first start with this tier list, this is all pre-patch stuff. Yep. And at the end, we'll do post-patch, if anybody moved.
Yep. So the initial listings will be kind of an overall, but before we... the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so really quickly, guys, before we get started, I just want to say, obviously, like, comment, subscribe, but one thing I really wanted to start pushing out there is would love for you guys to follow us on our Facebook. We are not at the point yet where we can post statuses and stuff on YouTube.
Almost there.
So if you want to kind of get in touch with what we're doing,
more of the community side.
Yeah, then please follow us on Facebook.
We post a lot of snapshots there of in terms of Unite content. We'll post such and such a PMC crew, last night got a MVP on, and we'll post that on there.
Yeah. And if we start playing, with you guys as the fans, then that is going to be the best way to find out when we're playing.
And how to get in touch with us and get in games with us. We've already had a couple of comments of people that want to play with us, so we've already been in behind the scenes trying to work out some fan days to play with people.
Yes,
and schedule that and figure out how many people are going to be in and whether or not we're going to be doing a 5v5 ranked with some fans joining us, or if we're going to be doing in-house scrims and the fans will join each side of the teams. Yep. There's a lot of fun stuff we can do.
Yep. Last thing before we get started, just wanted to say we're not in master tier and stuff yet, you know what I mean, real life things. So this is just going to be our overall. We got a new player, an experienced player in League, and an experienced player in Dota. So you're going to be getting a lot of different perspectives here.
And that's the beautiful part of it is we're all learning together, as everything on the PMC channel here. We are all in this journey together, regardless of what Pokemon meta we're playing. We love Pokemon and we love these little critters, and we just want to play more. We're really excited for Unite. We have about 8 to 10 people in the local PMC crew here in Grand Rapids area that are playing. If you are around and want to play with us more, definitely hit us up either on YouTube or comment on Facebook.
Yep.
Without further ado, Connor, are you ready to go, buddy?
Do it.
Let's do it. All right. So first off here, we're going to talk about one of our very favorites. So Connor, much like myself, he is a man of true class and taste. He is a Hoenn rep also. The best generation. So we're going to start here, alphabetical order. We're going to talk about a Pokemon that's near and dear to both of our hearts. Connor's a really strong assassin player. He's one of our main junglers in the PMC crew. So we're going to talk about Absol. What do you think about Absol the first 2 weeks, Connor? I'm going to let you kick it off here. Before the patch, how you feeling about Absol?
Oh man, before the patch, Absol early game is an absolute threat on the field. I think that Absol, in my opinion, is probably the best jungler right now for early game ganking. Just because of not having an evolution, her offense is a little bit higher than some of the base level evolution Pokemon. She can easily come down from the jungle. She has a dash ability, and even more threatening with Absol, if you try to run away from her, she's going to get you.
Yep.
That's the part. The only way to fight an Absol is to face it head on and don't turn your back to her.
Yeah, you turn the back and she gets the backstab from pursuit, doesn't she?
Absolutely.
So, and that's where you see an Absol just chunk you from 0 to death. That's why, because she gets you from behind.
Yep, exactly. So you need to turn and face her. So that's why you always need to be with your team.
Yep.
It's called Pokemon Unite for a reason. Mm-hmm. Pokemon Unite.
Yep.
Amen to that.
But she absolutely represents a great jungling assassin character with an escape ability from I come from Dota background, so she's the perfect epitome of what a classic jungle character would be built around. Dash abilities, an escape ability, high damage, crit builds. I mean, she does her crits. She's very smooth to play. I will say that. If you did have to lane with her, her crits are very smooth. It feels great
Yeah,
playing
it's
her.
really legit. No, I think you nailed it. I think you did a great job. That's pretty much perfect.
Yeah, I think you knocked it out of the park with that one. I think, yeah. And
Don't really have much to add other than the fact that it's a Hoenn rep, so obviously she's OP.
I will say that I do believe that she depending on who's playing her, I mean her ult is very good.
Yep.
But late game usefulness, she doesn't have any support abilities, but she is able to chase. So if she
Yeah.
plays her role, she does great.
Yeah, she's definitely, especially like most folks in Unite that don't evolve, she's really good in the early to mid game. That's her strength.
Agreed.
So are we all consensus that we're good putting her S tier? I think she's really good.
yeah, I would put her S tier for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, the debuff with Psycho Cut as well. It has a slow to it, so she can escape from pokes that way.
So good
Or
because
she
it's
can
long
fly
range
up.
too. It's a slow. It's basically if you've ever played against the Absol or with one, and it looks like there's like a purple Wolverine claw mark above somebody. She's rending them. She's shredding their armor, so that way everybody on your team benefits. So basically, if you see that claw mark, just dogpile that person. You're gonna jump on them.
And keep in mind, with Absol's basic attacks, every third basic attack, instead of doing boosted damage, it lowers the opponent's defenses temporarily. So it's
of
actually a
armor.
really
A
good
lot of
team
armor shred. She's really good at like just getting in, getting a couple of procs on that Snorlax, and then turning around and jumping on the squishies. There's like a lot of cool options. It's not just black and white with her.
Yep.
Pun intended.
Okay.
So all right, let's go to the next boy, Charizard. So, I'm pretty excited that Charizard's in this game. He's my favorite of the original 3 starters. Boo! I know.
Yeah, he's not as good as Venusaur.
He's not. He's no Blastoise. He's no Venusaur. But it's funny because obviously Brandon's the Venusaur starter. I'm the Charizard starter, and Connor's the Blastoise here. So it's kind of funny we have all 3. But Charizard's in a little bit of a rough spot, isn't he, boys?
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
He's probably C or D tier. Like he's really not amazing, especially pre-patch. Like I think honestly, personally, like coming from like a league background, he's similar to Rumble, but he just doesn't have the same damage that Rumble does. He's that mid-range fire mage, and yes, he has some cool engage options with either Fire Punch or Flare Blitz. Dash options too. His ultimate's really, really useful to actually like get out of a bad spot or to get in. Like it's a good disengage or engage or both, because it gives you that like fly mechanic, which you just fly above terrain, you fly above enemies. It's really, really strong. But the range on his damage, and they sort of didn't really pick a lane with him, and I know this class is called all-rounder. That's sort of the point. But I feel like certain all-rounders, maybe like Lucario or Machamp, like they definitely pick a lane a little better than Charizard. They feel like Charizard, they're trying to do too much at once.
Right,
And they're trying to do, he's got 2 melee spells, he's got 2 range spells, and they didn't really synergize well together. Like he really can't be the main aggro or he just gets dropped. It's hard for him to get in and do his damage, so I'm going to put him D tier personally.
Okay, yeah, Charizard. Charizard. Connor, you got anything to add to that? I think you would kind of you would agree. I would say because
I think. Oh, sorry. Go right ahead.
no, I was just gonna say you said you thought you wasted coins on him.
I did. He was actually my second purchase for Pokemon because I played him in practice and like I liked the mechanics. I got the idea of like, okay, he's not a pure ranged character. He's not a pure melee character. He's right in the middle. But as Justin said, there isn't really synergy between his moves. I mean, if you go Fire Punch, Flare Blitz, that personally was the only combination that I found worked well for me. Even then, I will say his ult charges very quickly. His ult has a really nice disable mechanic that can take somebody out of the fight temporarily, which can be really useful for winning a team fight. If you need to neutralize or isolate somebody from the fight, you can pop the Seismic Slam on them. Very useful ability. Outside of that, D tier all the way. It is my worst character, unfortunately. I hate saying that, but Charizard, unfortunately, every time I play him, I struggle Charmander, I struggle Charmeleon.
Yeah, he really does. Like, he's the quintessential tadpole. Like, you really need to hold his hand for, like, honestly, 4 to 5 minutes. And when it's a 10-minute game, like, that's just too much of a burden to put on another player.
He really is. Like, I lost so many one-on-one fights, and
Yeah.
I love one-on-one fighting. Like, you can ask
He's
anybody.
not a good duelist, is he, at all?
I love dueling, so.
Yep. Alrighty, so we're going to go with the Bunny. Spoiler alert, the Bunny's really good pre-patch, and he's really good post-patch. So, Connor, you have played him a lot, and obviously, Brandon, you've played him a lot too. So I'm going to let Brandon lead off here, and Connor's going to kind of follow up with the end of this one. I haven't played Cinderace too much, but I've definitely got my butt kicked by it, and obviously, playing on the PMC team, I play with Cinderace all the time. So, Brandon, want to kick us off with the Bunny?
Yeah, I'd love to. This is my favorite starter. This is the starter that I picked in Sword and
Unite.
Shield.
Favorite starter in Unite.
Well, yeah. Cinderace, I'm just going to say right now, he's A tier. He's A tier when the game came out. He's A tier right now. He's one of the best damage options. Obviously, like when you're Score Bunny, things... he doesn't have as much of a hard time getting going as some of the other 3-stage evolutions that we'll talk about later. Score Bunny... Life for Score Bunny can sort of be rough, but you've got the range to keep yourself alive if you know what you're doing. And when he gets to Raboot...
then it really kind of kicks on.
Yeah, things start kicking in. I love the option to go long range with Pyro Ball once you get there, or to do the crit damage with Blaze Kick. And obviously, as he levels up, his auto attacks start getting faster, and
considerably. Like, he really shreds.
Dude, when you get him late game, the damage is insane.
Shing, 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 shing.
Yeah.
It's like a Gatling gun coming out of his feet.
Yep. I definitely think he can... I don't want to say he's bad early. He's not bad early. But once you get to that mid game and especially late game, the shredding capabilities...
I'll say it. I think he sucks early. I think laning phase, personally, like when I see that it's a Score Bunny in my lane, if I can, I always like, that's one of the few times where I'll harass even when harass isn't necessary, just because he's so bad at trading early. Because like he can Pyro Ball and then jump away, because he can't just stand there and like, especially if you're playing something like a Cramorant or a Bulbasaur, like you can't stand there and trade, because the Razor Leaf plus Seed Bomb plus autos, like you're just gonna get shredded and probably killed, even if you escape button. So
yep. So
reject button.
I definitely think that this is one of the best DPS options, especially late game. Connor, what would you have to say about Cinderace?
Well, as the member of the PMC crew who represents Cinderace in the rank squad, I love him. Pre-patch.
You agree with A, or would you move him up to S? Pre-patch.
Pre-patch, I believe he was an S.
Really? Okay. I tend to kind of agree. Mine was voting between these two, like an A+, S-. I don't think he's as good as Zeraora personally, but like I do think he's so top tier.
So the reason why I put him in S is because of the ability to not only have temporary invulnerability with Feint, which is a very useful move you can dodge Venusaur's ult.
Yeah,
you can dodge a Solar Beam. Outside of that, the Blaze Kick giving you a dash and a guaranteed critical hit plus a slight attack speed boost once the Blaze Kick's upgraded. And the most important mechanic, his Blaze mechanic. The lower his HP gets, the faster his attack gets. It's one of my favorite mechanics from Dota. This character called Husker. The lower the health gets, the faster he attacks, the more powerful his attacks get. It's like a berserker mechanic.
I love it.
Cinderace, to me, I believe you guys hit the nail on the head. Score Bunny is incredibly weak. However, I love if I get a kill with Score Bunny, it just really...
him and Ghastly, it's like if you get a kill with them, it's extra. It should be worth double.
Yep, and it is... I will say it is easy to harass early game with Score Bunny because of his range, especially if you're in a lane with like Gibble. Oh man, I love laning against a Gibble because I can just auto attack, and he will. Yeah, he'll have to back up. But yeah, Cinderace. After the patch, his attack damage did take a slight nerf. I definitely agree with A tier. I love Cinderace. He grew on me. I didn't necessarily, when Sword and Shield first came out, didn't necessarily agree with him, but man, he's grown on me, and then Unite they did a great job on him. Although I will say I always go Blaze Kick. I do not go Pyro Ball.
I mix it up. I like them both.
Interesting. Yep. Okay. A lot of good perspective there. I like it a lot. That's actually perfect. So next up, we do have the most awkward, random left field pick probably this entire roster right now. I have no idea how or why this stupid duck got in, and furthermore, why it was as good as it is. I picked up Cramorant on a whim, and honestly, he's one of my mains now. I love Cramorant. Every time I pick Cramorant, the whole squad's like, "Oh, here we go! You got Crammy!" It's insane. I don't know why this stupid duck is so good, but yeah, let's talk about it. Cramorant. So he's water flying type, and he's just weird, right? So his passive is Gulp Missile. Every time he casts a spell, every time he uses a move, you have a chance to. He basically dips his little beak in the water and fishes out some prey. It's RNG. You can either get the Arrokuda or you can get the Pikachu. If you get the Pikachu, it's extra damage and splash and levels up, and there's a whole bunch of crap to it. But it's kind of funny to like watch him walk around like, oh, you got a Pika in your mouth, and the Pikachu's just flailing. But so the spells that you start out early are actually really, really good. You get Feather Dance, which is just an AoE little like grenade that you drop, but it's a slow, so it makes it really nice for partners. And he doesn't evolve, which is again really nice for partners because you can have like a duo damage lane, and you're not taking away that like experience or anything. Like you can lane with a three evolution stage like a Cinderace or Venusaur, and you're not stealing anything from them. In fact, I actually run experience share, and I'll just buff. I'm almost playing like support damage, and I'm still nuking people. Yep. His other one is Whirlpool, just drops an AoE circle, and it's just like if you land the slow, and then like your Pikachu or something lands a stun, and then you land that Whirlpool, like they're just dead. Yeah. They're just going to get shredded. And then his other spells, once you level up, he either gets he's one of the 4 Surf users. His Surf, it actually is basically like a claw from Swain in League of Legends, where it shoots out the water and then it comes back, and on the way back, it'll do like a little mini stun. You'll see that like a little star around their head for like a mini second. It's really, really good to have that long range stun. His other option would be Dive, where he dives underwater, jumps up, hits some, and does some damage. I personally like Surf better, like 9 times out of 10. His 2 flying moves are I call it the shotgun with Air Slash. He just shoots out a big like cone in front of him, and it knocks him back, so it's like a mini dash. Otherwise, it's Hurricane, where he drops a bomb just like the Whirlpool, and it just tornadoes for 2 seconds, and it hits 3 times, and it does so much shred. Yep. I usually don't run the Hurricane unless we have hard CC to pair it with, like harder CC than just the Surf stun. But yeah, and then his ultimate with the Gulp Gatling. He he literally just plants himself and then just shoots 1,000,000 times per second, and it does a lot of damage. Yep. I don't think there's anything else to say other than like he really shouldn't be as good as he is. Yeah, but he is. Like
look at him.
Cramorant really is very, very high tier. Is there anything else you guys got to add about the duck?
I like your assessment of how he pairs well with like 3-stage evolutions and how he is really good like early game, mid game. You know what I mean? I think
it gives you an option to get you can more damage on your team without taking away from your team.
Yeah, you can. I feel like you can lane with anybody when you have Cramorant.
Yeah,
I think he pairs well like with everyone.
He does really well.
That's my assessment of Cramorant.
And he is one of the very few characters I have not played, so I really don't have too much to input on him.
Gotcha.
That's all right.
All right, so let's talk about the objectively worst tank in the game currently.
Objectively.
Let's talk about Crustle. Brandon is the one that's played the most tank games so far out of the crew, especially out of the 3 of us. I was obviously a tank main in League, tank and bruiser. But I'm gonna let Brandon lead this one off. What do you think about Crustle? You think he's S tier?
I would say no. I would put him in the D tier.
D tier. Okay, talk to me.
And it's not because like Crussle's
PMC Doug is not going to be happy about that. He loves Crustle, but
I love Crustle too.
Tell me about this. Why is he so low for you?
In my opinion, there's only one kit you should be running, and that's the Rock Tomb X Scissor combination. I don't love Stealth Rock. I don't think it offers him much. Shell Smash you can run, but I've tried to run offensive variants with Shell Smash. I find the only utility in Shell Smash is running away.
Yes.
And I've tried offensive versions of this bug with multiple different builds, and while that's not his main objective, I think he's so one-sided in my opinion.
Yeah.
And he's just so far outclassed by Slowbro and Snorlax, which we'll talk about later.
He just doesn't have as much utility as they do. Like even if you do run I agree with you. Even if you run the optimal build of the Rock Tomb, which is the big giant like half circle rock wall that he drops, if for people that don't know, and then the X's are where he rushes forward 3 times and just slice. Does a lot of damage. It's a really good combo. You can trap somebody in the wall and then slice them and pin them up against the wall, and your team can dogpile. It actually is good.
Yep.
But at the same time, like people who are like, wow, he puts up a giant rock wall, like Talia from League, like Talia has been one of the best characters in the game since her release because of that rock wall. How is she this bad? How is Crustle? It's honestly just the lack of utility compared to the other tanks. Because
I never take anything but Rock Tomb and X Scissor, and it takes team coordination to when you're going to call out. First you got to trap them.
You have to land it.
If you're going to use Rock Tomb, you have to call that out. You got to have the communication, and you use.
And it's really easy to screw over your opponents or your allies on accident.
Yep, they're chasing. You're going to try to put up the wall. You're a second too slow or half a second too slow, and all of a sudden you've cut off your own partner.
Yep, and they can't get the kill. And they're like, dude, what? Or trap them and they die.
Yeah.
So, and then on top of that, like I think it's his ultimate. Like his ultimate makes him really tanky. His ultimate doesn't have any form of CC or utility of any kind other than that. So, like, think about when Snorlax ulties or when Slowbro ulties or even Wigglytuff. Like, we get a move speed buff for the team. And there's all this utility, and then Crustle's just kind of more the selfish one.
Yeah.
It's almost like they designed it like they want you to go Shell Smash and but then he's not tanking.
Yeah,
it's
really,
a weird.
He's really weird.
It's like Charizard, where they couldn't pick a lane. It's like, do you want him to be like this chase down assassin bug, or do you want him to be a big giant tank with a rock on his back?
Yeah, so that's where I would put Crustle. I don't think, like even Charizard would say he's not bad. It's all
compared
objective.
It's not that he's necessarily bad. It's just compared to what else is in the roster in that role, he is the lowest of the totem pole.
Yeah. So that's all I got to say about him. I would
Connor?
say, you got anything for Crustle?
I really didn't enjoy playing him. I will say that I have seen a couple good Crustles on other teams that were running like Shell Smash and stuff, but me personally, can't play him. Not a fan.
Yeah, okay, let's move on to Eldegoss.
So, being the resident grass leader here, I'm really excited. I do like Eldegoss. She does give the only, like, just point-click heal in the game at the moment. There are a couple other ways to, like, assist or heal your allies, but she's the only point-click right now. Her damage isn't insane. But the fact that when like max level, you have to run Pollen Puff in order to heal your allies, and even then you have to like in the midst of a team fight you have to like click your ally, and then it's got that delay before the bomb explodes. It's not instant, and it's hard to like.
Yeah.
She's not Blissey. For people that have been paying attention to the data mines, we're getting Blissey soon. Or supposedly getting Blissey soon, and Blissey sounds like the healer that we all want and deserve.
Yeah.
Which is like the point-click heal or AoE heal, and it's doesn't have to necessarily be a delay on it. It just happens, and it's a lot more user-friendly to keep your allies alive, especially mid to late game. I think that Eldegoss early is really strong. Early mid-game, she's really strong. Especially she's really strong for being like a hand holder for like a Garchomp or Machamp. I think it's really good with Machamp.
Yeah.
To get him going and snowballing. There's a lot of good utility with like Leaf Tornado to get move speed. But the problem is if you do Leaf Tornado, you lose the Pollen Puff healing. That's the trade-off. So you either get move speed or healing. You can't have both. And then you either get Cotton Guard or Cotton Spore, anti-move speed or defense to your team, but again, you don't have healing, so it's just you get to heal with your ulti, and you get a vulnerability with your ulti, which is insanely good. I just wish that she had a late game heal, like if she could heal, like if Cotton Guard or Cotton Spore did what they do now, but also had AoE heals on top of it, like Synthesis, like the early game Synthesis move. I feel like she'd be, maybe B or even A, because there's so much utility there.
Yep.
But there's not a lot of damage unless you're speccing it, which then you're not doing your job as a healer. And then, again, there's just not as much healing as I would like from especially as right now, the only dedicated healer in the roster, and she doesn't even do that much true healing.
Yeah, that's true. Plus, didn't they nerf the healing too?
They did nerf the healing.
Yeah.
So,
okay, yeah. Anything to say about Eldegoss, Connor? I think this is one I don't really have too much to say about.
Yeah, I am really surprised that they didn't put a more simple version of a healer out first. I'm surprised that they did the delayed, healer
Yeah.
style first. But that being said, I really didn't enjoy playing her. I'm waiting for Blissey.
Yep. See, I
Yep.
think we're all.
Yeah.
Blissey's going to be tankier like Mr. Mime and have better heals than Eldegoss. So Eldegoss does have a lot of utility. She just needs her mid and late game struggles.
Yep.
So Garchomp. Unfortunately, I do love Garchomp, and Connor loves Garchomp a lot, but I just don't think he. I think he kind of like similar to Charizard. I don't think he's D.
No.
No, I'd say C or B.
Yeah, I'm thinking so too, man. I agree. You want to take the lead on this one?
Sure. I think he's really, really powerful when he's Garchomp. When he's Garchomp and he has a supportive team that can do CC for him, he's great. But that's
Draw
just the issue.
aggro off of him.
Yeah, getting aggro off of him at the early levels when he's Gibble, he's so flimsy. Score Bunny can take him down. I would know because I love taking down Gibble at Score Bunny. It's one of my favorite.
I agree completely. Like that feels like a free lane, doesn't? When you're like against a Gibble, you're just like, oh yeah, we're gonna harass the crap out of you.
Now, Gibble can be useful in the lane against a Machamp or another melee character because his rough skin passive will punish them at early levels for constantly trying to harass them. But that being said, his ult is a little squirrely.
Yep.
I've seen his ult absolutely shred our team on Zapdos before, but at the same time, I just don't think he needs so much CC and enabling. You really have like the whole team kind of has to be focused around like what's the Garchomp gonna do, and then even then. If you neutralize the Garchomp, then what?
I agree completely. I think you nailed it. I think similar to Charizard, I think their stocks are going to go up, maybe even a full tier each when Blastoise gets in. Because Blastoise is going to be that frontline bully, bruiser, I'm going to engage the team and you come in behind me kind of. Like similar to what Snorlax does now, but better. Like he's going to be that really tanky frontline team engage the fight tank. And when that happens, and you could run a team with like Snorlax and Blastoise, I think in a dual tank combo like that, you could obviously throw a Slowbro in there too. But like having a Blastoise plus something else to engage the fight, and then having like a Garchomp follow up when there's so much frontline meat to deal with, and then the Garchomp comes in with all that damage when everybody's CC'd, and you just layer like everybody press your ulti at the same time, and it's like a lasagna, right? It's just that 5-layer salad here. I think these type of characters are going to go up when that happens, when the roster gets expanded a little bit. But as of right now, I think I agree with you completely.
Yep, he's not strong enough to be a main carry, but he's definitely a great off carry. He does great damage with Snorlax when Snorlax is blocking, but
secondary or tertiary engage. He's got good CC with Dig. I really like Dig a lot. It's just
what? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, yeah, I'm spot on with you. I like Dig, and I even like Rocky Helmet. I run a tankier build to pair with his rough skin, and it shreds the jungle, and it really does a lot of damage against things like early game. If you can get ahead or even, like if you can get to Gabite early enough, you can actually stand toe-to-toe against Raboot with because he does a lot of auto attack damage. So he's actually going to, and Greninja also, these auto attack characters are going to do a lot of damage to themselves. You just need to make sure that you have either a healer with you or I take Potion, personally, because he's so fragile. But again, it's kind of up to speed. So, Connor, you're also going to take the lead on this next one. This is somebody that you have mained. This is one of your top 6 favorite pokes of all time. Talk to us about Gengar.
This was one of my favorite Pokemon cards too when I first got it.
Oh yeah, like this is like Brandon's Alakazam for you. This is straight up there. So talk to us.
I'd put this one in D tier.
Yeah, he sucks. All right. No, so spoiler alert, before Connor even goes, like, Gengar's S tier.
Yeah.
Gengar, especially pre-patch, Gengar is one of the best characters in the game by far. For people who are familiar with League, he's very similar to Kassadin. So Connor, take it away.
Gengar is probably definitely my most played character early on. As Ghastly, you're very squishy. You're melee, and you have low HP. You might be thinking, man, this character stinks the first 30 seconds in. Give it some time. You wait to a minute and a half when you turn into Haunter and you get Sludge Bomb. Now you're going to start dealing out some damage. Once you get Hex, I highly recommend you go Sludge Bomb Hex when you play our buddy Gengar here. Sludge Bomb will apply a debuff that lowers or it puts a damage over time on the opponent.
Yeah.
It temporarily lowers their defense and their special defense. And if they're hit with Hex, the cooldown gets reset. Now, Hex is a teleporting ambush-like move, very similar to a Shadow Step or a teleporting backstab. You teleport behind the poke that you're targeting. You jump up and do a little frightening move that looks similar to Phantom Force from the Sword and Shield games. You strike them, you heal yourself just a little bit, and it does massive damage, especially AoE damage.
AoE, yep, spot on.
Yep, so you can nail teams. So the most general strategy that most people I'm sure have encountered now 2 weeks into Pokemon Unite is there's a Gengar, he sludge bombs you, and then all of a sudden he starts teleporting 3 or 4 times behind you and kills you. That is the sludge bomb Hex combo. I highly recommend. His ult allows him to temporarily disappear from the battlefield. You can still score points when you are when you are in the ult and you're underground. You can still score goals. You're moving hyper fast. You can still score points.
Insanely fast, isn't he? He's like, I know his class is speedster, so like, oh duh, Justin, of course, but like, wow, he's quick. He's hard to catch.
His ult is incredibly useful too, because right after your team catches Zapdos, and if there are other teams on respawn, you can pop your ult and get right into their base right away to cap. It's a really useful strategy for getting points on Gengar. Not to mention, if you decide to use the ult offensively, when you ambush out of the ult, it does a tremendous amount of damage to any pokes caught in the blast. You open up the sludge bomb, go right into a Hex, and you can usually get yourself 1 or 2 kills. Gengar is amazing. As soon as I turn into Gengar, I go into gank mode.
You go super ham. Like it's insane when you go to Haunter, because like you can hear in the chat like Connor like almost like sits up in his chair, is like, all right boys, like the game starts now. But when it turns to Gengar, it's like the lights turn off. it's a different world, man. It's just like a bull seeing red. Here we go.
For anyone who's ever seen the movie of the character who was bullied as a child and then it trained and became super strong and then went out for revenge, that's playing Gengar, friends. As Gasoline Haunter, you're going to get murdered. People are going to target you. But when you turn into Gengar, sweet, sweet revenge.
Yeah, dude.
Yep.
The only thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say my assessment of Gengar. Like here's a.
So the two weeks into a MOBA, he's never played a Shadow Step character. He's never played like a Shadow Assassin from Dota. He's never played against Cassidon or Diana or LeBlanc from League. So go.
Here's my experience fighting against Gengar. Okay, here's how it goes. I'm like, oh, there's a Gengar on the field. Oh, I'm dead. That's my whole experience fighting against Gengar.
Yep.
Definitely public enemy number 1.
He's so strong. So early game, it's a little deceit. The only thing I want to add, like I agree with everything Connor said by far. Like I haven't played him basically at all compared to him. But I will say fighting against Gengar, actually like deceivingly early game, usually I don't see Ghastly, it's always Haunter, but the Lick has actually, because it like tugs you in. He basically like pulls you in with his tongue just a little bit, and it's enough for his opponents to get off that like 1 stun or the couple extra autos, and you die early. And I'm just like, what in the world? Yeah. So like he has that long range little like, he throws the hook out.
Yep.
He has some harass, but he's so squishy.
yeah, he's exactly. So next up is one of my favorites, one of my mains right now is Greninja. Probably my favorite of the. Oh.
Where'd he go?
He's on C right now. Greninja's under C.
Oh, we totally lost him.
We're gonna drop this boy in A. Spoiler alert. I think Greninja's really good. There could be an argument for B, but I personally like. I've played Cinderace and I played Greninja. They feel very similar in that they have like one of their spells does damage and the other one's just utility. So they're definitely more of auto attack damage. That's their main source. So in that respect, they are very similar. Pyro or whatever his giant fireball ulti is for Unite move on Cinderace is longer range. It's longer range than the Shuriken for the Greninja. And the difference is he shoots out the Pyro Ball. He doesn't jump with it. But Greninja, he'll actually jump to the target. So he throws the Shuriken, and then he jumps in. And then after, for a couple seconds, just like in Smash Bros. With any of his Smash attacks, instead of throwing out the Shurikens, now he's got the water swords. He's got the kunais. So his auto attacks are bigger damage and bigger AoE slices and stuff for a couple seconds after he uses ulti. So it really makes him like an assassin while also being a marksman. It's kind of a cool dichotomy. And then early game, he's really, really, really strong. I actually think, other than Bulbasaur, I think Froakie is the strongest of all of the stage 1 out of 3 stages Pokemon.
Interesting.
I personally think Froakie's really good. He's got really good range on his auto attacks, really good attack speed early for his auto attacks, good damage. Bubble is just good damage. He's got the substitute. So like if you're expecting, like if somebody walks up to you in this game, it's very linear. If they walk forward, you can pretty much guess that some rando is just going to throw I say Q from my league days, but they're just going to throw a spell out.
Yep.
So as soon as they walk forward, I just instantly substitute backwards. The substitute takes a damage, then I step right back in. Their stuff's on cooldown, and now I can just bubble, auto, and I win the trade. Mm-hmm. Basically 9 times out of 10. It's actually really effective. And he's a good partner because he has such fast autos. Like, if you got like a Pikachu or something, they land a stun, you just shink, 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 and it's just a lot of good follow-up damage. I personally think I haven't looked up the numbers, but I think he actually has a higher base attack speed than anybody else in the game early. He's actually really fast attack speed.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
And then late game, you can either do, he's one of the 4 surfs, or you could also, I don't like that as much. I like the water shuriken because it throws 3 in a row, and it's basically just like super strong, like a linear.
It looks way cooler too.
And it looks way cool. And it does a lot of damage if you land all 3 hits.
Yeah.
And then the other one that I like to do, he can either do double team or smoke screen. Smoke screen is really effective. It's like the Akali smoke screen from League. And Brandon, you've been in this before where you're like, dude, I can't see anybody. What's going on?
Yeah, it's all Greninja.
Yeah, it breaks up your vision, so you can't see anything outside of the little circle that you're standing in. So it's actually really effective in a team fight. It obscures your vision completely. But I like to run, probably most of the time, I like to run Shadow Clone Jutsu.
Yeah, it's funny. He's got Substitution Jutsu and Shadow Clone Jutsu.
Yeah, so I run the double team, which, oh man, I'm so excited for more pokes to get double team. But we'll get on that on the next podcast.
Yep.
Double team is insane. It's like Zed from League. Basically, Greninja splits up into 3 of them. You get to control you, and then there's 2 clones. And it just confuses your opponent's perspective. They can't tell which one is you unless you cast a spell. So if you start throwing out water shurikens and stuff, then it's like, oh, well, that's the real one. But if you're just running away, they can't tell. And how many times have I gotten away and just laughing maniacally in chat?
Throwing shurikens as you're, like, running away.
Yeah! So I think Greninja's A tier. He's really fast. He's squishy. But because he has either the smoke screen to obscure vision and it slows, or the shadow clones to just boom, and now I'm just free.
Yep.
Like, it's just so much utility there, and he can assassinate people. Like, if Connor's like, all right, I'm jumping in on Absol or Greninja, I can follow up with my ulti and jump in with him, so we can have like a duo backline dive.
Yep.
So it gives a lot of options that way to where certain other carries can't.
Yep.
So next up, this is another character that I've played a lot. This is a character that I really strongly recommend that Connor picks up because this is another S tier boy. Lucario is insane. A lot of similar things that we've talked about with Absol pertain to Lucario. He's got dash built in level 1, and you can have dashes all the way up to late game, up to 2 different dash moves even. His extreme speed is really good because every time you hit something, whether it's a wild Pokemon or an enemy Pokemon, doesn't matter. As long as you hit the extreme speed, it resets the cooldown. So that's how you see him just jump. It's because he hits. If he just jumps into the ether just to like get away, well then it's like an 8-second cooldown. It's pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
But if he hits the extreme speed, that's one of its upgrades. You just get to fucking do it.
Yeah.
So
I like his kit. I think
he's so strong.
Aura Sphere, like having a ranged attack and Aura Sphere, like I think this kit is perfectly balanced.
Which is obviously his Unite move, his
Yep.
ulti.
I think he's perfectly balanced to fit a lot of different play styles.
By far the best all-rounder in terms of like, what's an all-rounder mean to you? This is it. Like is.
Yeah, I think this is like the quintessential all-arounder. I also
he's got
think
range, he's got mobility, he's got a little bit of defense. Like he's not. You can blow up Lucario, but it's not like a Pikachu.
His ability is annoying.
Yeah.
Fighting against him, like when you're trying to chase him down and get the kill and finish him off, like he could just
the shield.
The shield
Yeah.
and the increased movement speed.
When he gets
super annoying.
yeah, when he gets low, it's justified.
Yeah.
When he gets low, he gets it's like a built-in focus sash kind of thing. He gets a shield and he gets a move speed buff.
Yep.
So it's just like if you don't nuke him, you're not going to kill him.
Yep.
You have to like dogpile him and jump on him.
Yep.
But yeah, the ability to just be super mobile, lots of good damage. Every third auto attack he kicks instead of punches, and it's a little mini knockup. So he's got built-in CC, and he doesn't evolve. So it's it's just really, really, really good. He basically ticks all the boxes.
Yep.
Connor, I know you haven't played him yet. I know he's high up on your list. Do you have any just from fighting against or with the Lucario you want to add?
Well, he is my favorite character from the Smash Bros. Universe.
Nice.
Nice.
I'm not very good at Smash Bros, but when I play Lucario, I feel like I go up to a Super Saiyan somehow.
Yeah, there you go.
I do plan on trying him out here shortly, especially once they finally give us an announce date for when Blastoise is coming out, because I am, of course, saving some gems for my Blasty boy, as he is my favorite Kanto starter. I do love Venusaur.
Yep.
But back to Lucario. His ability to take the shield at low health, as a ganker, it's incredibly annoying. In fact, I almost ignore Lucario when I'm ganking. I try to play around the Lucario because he can take me down in a duel at low levels usually with the ganking characters I play. And because of his shield, I might not get the gank off in time for him to dash out of there. I mean, extreme speed allows him to get out of there just as quick as he can get in there.
Yep.
So,
or even early game when it's still just quick attack. Same thing. Yep.
I do love his ult. I have used his ult in practice rounds. I need some more experience with him, but I think
all of us DBZ characters love the big Kamehameha ball.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I'm a sucker for Goku. So
absolutely, spot on, man. So next up here, we're going to keep going. We're going to talk about one that Connor loves a lot. I've played it a little bit and been very pleased with my performances so far. It's actually one of my favorites, and probably my favorite melee like carry character in terms of just like, you know, the Charizard, the Garchomp. We're going to talk about Champster here. So I personally think Champster's up in like B pre-patch, maybe A, but like, you know, like he's above average. Do you know what I mean? He's not the C tier. I think he's maybe in the B. So Connor, you want to lead us off with Champster?
Absolutely, brother. Now let me tell you something about the Macho Machamp.
There we go.
As a fan of professional wrestling since a small child, and my very first Pokemon card was a Machoke, actually.
Nice.
Machamp has a special place in my heart. If you've ever wanted to play a melee semi-truck, you play Machamp. He hits like a semi-truck. There are times where Machamp is on 20% health, and 3 members of our team, including myself, will jump on him thinking he's an easy kill. And he will pop his ult and punch us to death. And boom. And then they get Zapdos. Woohoo! So, lesson learned. Machamp hits like a truck. Early game with Machamp, not so much CC. Bulk up's okay for making you unstoppable, so you can get out of there. But Karate Chop's kind of underpowered. It's kind of hard to get kills as a Machamp. It's possible. I've done it. Not my favorite. However, when you evolve and you get submission, it's a completely different ballgame.
Yeah, as soon as he gets Machoke and he puts those britches on.
It really does, because then you have CC. You can take somebody and displace them, so you're moving their character back again to your team's line, so you guys can pick off somebody.
Yep.
Not to mention submission significantly speeds up your movement speed and
it's
clears
insane.
up.
Like submission it's like when you get Sludge Bomb for Haunter.
Yep, it really is. Like, and I've taken Dynamic Punch on accident. I don't like it very much. It's a cool little AOE around you, but the movement speed and the CC ability of submission just takes it. Going into cross chop or close combat, pre-patch, close combat did not do as much damage. Post-patch, close combat did receive a damage boost, I believe.
Yep.
Cross chop was what I usually went with, only because my first experience fighting a Machamp in this game, he cross chopped me and another teammate to death. With one move, he literally hit us like a truck and killed us. And
I like cross chop. That's even after post patch, I still like cross chop, but that's my personal preference. I think close combat definitely has a place now. Pre patch, I personally said that close combat wasn't worth it.
Yep. I mean, close combat is good if someone's charging you, or if there's a Snorlax that you really want to inflict massive damage to. But
like, it's good burst. It's just I just prefer the damage plus utility of the cross chop.
When you play a Machamp and you cross chop somebody and get a crit for around 2,000 damage, and then you get a follow-up auto attack crit for 1,000 damage, you basically two-shot somebody, you'll see why we love Machamp.
You'll see why. Exactly.
His ult, always remember his ult is 2 stages. The first stage is a buff. When you use it, you get a short buff to his movement speed, his attack speed, his attack damage. He basically is on steroids for a couple seconds.
Yeah, literally.
If you click it a second time, that's when he throws the volley of punches. So a good strategy to do is to hide in the grass, wait for your team to engage, come around the back side,
Yep,
pop
flank 'em.
the first part of the ult, use cross chop or one of your other abilities and go one direction, usually coming from behind, and then come through their line with the second part of your ult, and you will do a tremendous amount of damage, especially if you're
Whole
being
lot of
enabled
damage.
by.
And you get the damage reduction from your ult too, right?
Yep, yep. Also, I think Eldegoss is probably one of the strongest pokes
Yep,
that can
that's
be.
your and I favorite combo when we do that, isn't it? We do the Eldegoss Machop.
Oh, dude, yeah, the survivability of Machop
I
goes
don't
through
think
the
we've
roof.
lost a lane, have we?
Nope. We went right into Machoke, usually around a minute and a half. We got
Yep.
submission, and then boom.
Yep. It's super good. Brandon, anything else you want to add? I know you're a big fan of the Champster in terms of a teammate. I don't know if you've played him too much.
I have played him.
Nice.
And I definitely think like team coordination really, really makes him shine. I think the damage is just easy.
Yeah.
Like if you just want to go and do a lot of damage, it's easy.
He's definitely the best out of these three.
I've seen
like
videos of
the
him-
Garchomp, the Charizard, and the Machamp. I definitely think Machamp's the best.
I have seen videos of this Pokemon 1v5ing
Yep.
entire teams. So
Just slaughter.
like I said, the damage potential is insane, and team coordination makes him even better.
Yep.
I do like Machamp a lot.
So next up, we got Mime. This is probably collectively our favorite support as the PMC crew right now. I think he's B tier.
I do too.
I don't think he's A. Like it's hard to put a support as A. They haven't put one out yet that gets up there for me. But like I think Mime is really good as a B tier.
Yeah.
Brandon, you're the resident psychic, so I'm gonna let you take the lead. The only thing I want to mention right now is like he is melee. That's probably the reason that I don't put him at A tier is the fact that he's a melee auto attack. If he was a ranged auto attack, even if it was just like a middling range, like a Charizard type of range, like I'd probably put him at A tier just for that alone, being able to harass on top of the rest of his kit. But anyways, that's personally for me why he drops from A to B for me.
Yeah, I've got reasons for putting him in B as well. I play him probably the most out of anyone in the crew. Part of the reason he's in such a weird spot. It's so funny that we put him in like the middle of the tier because he's such a middle of the road when it comes to his role. Like he's a quote unquote support Pokemon, which yes, he does have barrier.
But he's got a 4-star defense for endurance. Like
Yeah.
he's tankier than Slowbro, he's as tanky as Slowbro, who's a tank.
Yep. The obvious combination wrong with him is barrier and confusion, and I don't think there is a better combination.
No.
Guard swap has really interesting utility when you use it with your teammates. I don't like casting it on opponents for any reason. Like you can
Other than Snorlax, that's literally
that's like the only thing you would guard swap with.
you could guard because like even guard swapping a Wigglytuff, he could just pop his ulti and get a shield, which bypass like yes he's still but he has an HP shield and move like you're not going to be able to cut through that.
He's so interesting.
Yeah.
Like the reason you run him as a support is for the barrier, and it's really interesting that that's in my opinion his biggest supporting role. It's really funny because he's a borderline damage Pokemon because of the combination of barrier and confusion. When you cast a barrier and then you cast confusion immediately after, you trap a Pokemon, push them up against the wall.
Because basically confusion for him, it shoots like a psychic ball, and if it hits anybody, it'll knock them back. And if they collide with any terrain, whether it be terrain that's naturally in the game or terrain that's created from either like a Crustle or a barrier from Mr. Mime, or in the future if any other Pokemon create stuff. Oh, there's a storm here in Grand Rapids. But then it will stun.
Yes.
So basically, like from League of Legends, if anybody's played Poppy, she tackles people into walls the same sort of way. Only Mr. Mime does it from range. He shoots it out.
And it takes like it can take half of your HP.
Oh,
it's
a good burst. So, it's a good burst.
So it's really interesting because I find Mr. Mime to be the granted I haven't played a lot of Wigglytuff, but I find his damage to actually be pretty good. If you can trap people, if you can get really good at that barrier.
I think he's the most damaging support right now.
I would say so too. I love him in the B tier. Like you said, I don't think there's any supports really that are A tier right now. This is kind of a
his ulti is insane too. That's the last thing I want to touch on. It's just the fact that his ulti. So basically, it's an AOE. He starts a dance party, and basically what happens is it's a big AOE move speed buff for you and your allies, but it's like insane move speed. He starts basically like just zooming, but it also any enemies trapped in there, it basically is an AoE silence. They can't cast any of their moves. So like you turn off the ability for Zeraora or Absol or Gengar to like jump around. You literally turn that off. So like then they're just glued in place. They can walk and stuff, but they can't do hex. They can't do pursuit, whatever it is, extreme speed.
Call it silence in Dota. It's the silence effect. They're silenced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because basically they're dancing around with his dance party. That's essentially the lore. So I think he's really good. So Brandon, you're going to take the lead here with this next 2, 3, 4. Look at these. These are all your main.
To talk about
so
here.
Right here, we're going to talk about Ninetales. I think she might be A or B. Connor, I think he was. What were you saying? You were saying maybe A or B earlier.
In my personal opinion, I have to put her in. I believe that her damage potential is up there, especially early game. Personally, I enjoy playing her, and she plays a lot like the Crystal Maiden character or the Jane of Proudmoore, the Frost Mage. And I played a Frost Mage in Warcraft, so I have
Definitely.
But that Orovale tech, man. Oh.
So if anybody hasn't seen, there'll probably be a link in the description for our most recent upload with Brandon's first perspective guide. He's 2 weeks into MOBA, and he's doing great so far. And his main character right now is Alolan Ninetales. By far his most played and most experienced character, his best character so far with performance. So I'm going to let you lead off the talk and obviously tell everybody what build you run versus the norm and how you like to use it, because we play a lot of team games, either 3, 4, or 5-man squads.
So straight off the bat, I'm really comfortable putting this Pokemon in B tier. If you guys want to put it A tier, then like I would.
What makes you think B versus A?
Here's my reason for B. This Pokemon's really, really good early.
It evolves quick.
It evolves very fast, which is really awesome. It can lane with anyone. It's got the range. My problem that I have with Ninetales is you're relying a lot on auto attacks for your damage,
which doesn't do that much.
And you can boost that with Aurora Veil. Obviously, like you want to kite around and stuff. And I find late game, the survivability becomes an issue. I find myself dying a lot late game because things like other damage Pokemon are scaling, I think, way harder than Ninetales.
She's definitely more of that early to mid game spike, and she's definitely a team enabler with either her CC or Aurora Veil. So obviously, what are the two options? Either Aurora Veil or
Blizzard.
Blizzard. What does Blizzard do?
Blizzard is kind of like an upped version of Icy Wind, where you cast this like a wave of ice, and you push them back, and it does.
Oh, it's the knockback. Okay.
And then a lot of people like to pair that with Avalanche, so you're like a pseudo Crustle. I don't love
Avalanche
that build.
is the one where there's like the little iceberg that pops up. It's a tiny little mini wall.
I run Aurora Veil. You get increased damage for yourself and your opponents, and you take less damage.
It's a big AoE circle on the field. Yep. I like Aurora Veil too. I think Aurora Veil is one of the best team support mechanics in the game. It's one of the reasons I love Ninetales so much.
Yep.
100% agree.
Yep. That's what, like Brandon said, because she evolves so quick. It's only a 2-stage. She evolves very fast, and she has the Aurora Veil and built-in CC with the frost stuff and Icy Wind early, and then late game. What's the R options?
That would be your Dazzling Gleam, which is what I run. It's a little cone of damage. Or
does it have CC?
And a stun. It's a cone stun.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
Yep.
Because Dazzling Gleam on Wigglytuff also is a cone with a stun. That's why I asked.
Yep. So, yeah, I'm comfortable putting this Pokemon in the B tier. Maybe
because of her late game scaling.
Late game is hard. It's hard late game,
especially against these A and S tiers. Like late game, a Gengar is just gonna boom dumpster.
I can't really 1v1 any of those Pokemon in the A and the S tier in late game.
I think that's fair.
I mean, those Pokemon are really designed to do that, but
in a team game, I think she's so good with teams because she has built-in support and damage and CC. I think she can fill either support role or a damage role. And obviously, you don't have to go Aurora Veil. You can go Blizzard and have 2 damaging moves with Dazzling Gleam Aurora or Dazzling Gleam Blizzard. But the Aurora Veil is just so innate. Like, imagine popping Aurora Veil and then Machamp has more damage reduction and more auto attack damage.
Yeah.
Or you pop that and now your Cinderace has damage reduction and auto attack damage from far. And just shink, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many options there with Aurora Veil to be that, like, pseudo-support mage.
You definitely want to, like, hug the hips of your partners when you're playing Ninetales, especially late game.
Yes.
And that is my argument for why Ninetales could potentially be considered A-class here.
Yeah, go for it.
because of her high damage output, she also has one of the most powerful team fight regular abilities in the game, being Aurora Veil. That's slight cooldown of what 9 or 10 seconds or something.
And it lasts for like 5 seconds, so it's really not that much of a cooldown, anyways.
This is a team fight game. If we were talking in a one-on-one situation, you're absolutely right. She can't one-on-one a Cinderace. I mean, she could if she caught him and used her ult. She could easily could. I lose to her all the time.
Is another really great team fight point.
Yeah, because she does do massive AoE. But I will say that if she eject buttoned right into the middle of the fight, popped Aurora Veil, popped her ult, and then died, she did her job. And her team is going to have a tremendous benefit over the other team because of that tech. But that's where it kind of comes into, as I think it really goes down to who's playing. And it would be incredibly build dependent because Dazzling Gleam would give your team another mini stun. So you'd have CC of the Aura Veil, which is, again, you have a Cinderace standing in the Aura Veil, as we already know as a team, Brandon, from you using Aura Veil for us, as me playing Cinderace, I shred.
Definitely. I think it's fair to just bounce her between A and B, because it depends on if you're playing solo queue or you're playing with teams. Like, it really does make a difference.
If you don't have a 5-man squad, she's B. If you have a 5-man squad, I think she could be A.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's really fair point. I think it's really fair.
I'm comfortable putting her in either of those. But anyway, we'll move on to Pikachu.
Pikachu's interesting. So I want to mention right here, I understand, Game Freak, that Pikachu is your rep. I get it that it's the mascot for the entire global billion-dollar, trillion-dollar brand. I get it. But especially in a game like this with, like, scaling, like, we're going to talk about this right here for a second. I understand there's no baby forms. There's no Riolu. There's no Happiny. There's no Igglybuff. There's no Munchlax, etc., etc., etc. So I get that you don't have the Pichu, but why is there no Raichu?
That alone is why he'll never be S tier.
He can't.
Because he doesn't turn into Raichu.
And this is not just a troll because Brandon loves Raichu.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites.
It's one of his top 6 favorites of all time.
Yep.
But legitimately, from a tactical standpoint, early game Pikachu is a menace. Mid game Pikachu is a menace. Late game Pikachu is a menace in terms of his damage output.
Yes.
Early game Pikachu's really good. Just good. All around.
I think it's a travesty that you have to get rid of Electro Web.
Yeah. Mid-game, Pikachu struggles because he starts to fall off in terms of his durability, and late-game, Pikachu is the squishiest Pokemon in the entire game right now. Probably going to stay that way because it doesn't evolve to Raichu. Like, even Raichu's not that bulky, but having just a fully evolved Pokemon is going to give you a little bit of bump of, like, HP. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why this wasn't Raichu, and hopefully in the future they correct it and just give us a little bit of oomph, because he just dies to a stiff breeze.
Yeah, that's my experience with Pikachu. I will say that I think Pikachu in the right hands can be, like, absolutely devastating. I think the damage potential is insane. I think when they labeled this Pokemon and I take these ratings with a grain of salt, when they said that this Pokemon is a novice level Pokemon, I absolutely disagree, because
I disagree too.
I find it hard to stay alive with this Pokemon, and I'm a novice player. I have a hard time, but I have been melted by Pikachus. I've been.
The Electro Ball does so much damage.
In the right hands with the right kit, I think this Pokemon could be. I would put it A tier.
I would.
But the survivability is so hard. That's part of why I think expert level mobile players will be really, really good with Pikachu.
Yeah.
The average player.
They're going to struggle.
I think they're going to struggle. I think losing Electroweb really hurts.
It's so squishy, and you have to be, especially when you don't have any mouse clicks, like, you have to be mindful of your positioning, and that's hard in this game.
It is hard, yeah, because when you can auto right into a fight.
And not even mean to.
Yeah. So that's where I would place Pikachu.
He's really strong.
I think the potential there for Pikachu is pretty monumental, especially like master level players. I think will do well with Pikachu. You got anything to add about Pikachu, Connor?
If he could keep Electroweb, he'd be so much better.
Yep. If he could keep Electroweb, he'd be A or S tier, regardless of even if he doesn't evolve and he keeps the same durability issues, I'd put him up a full tier just for that, because Electroweb CC is insane. It's like a 2-second stun.
Yeah.
He would fill a niche role if he could keep Electroweb of being a snare. So if anyone who could get, if you had a Talonflame on your team, Talonflame pops his ult, pushes somebody away from the rest of their team. Pikachu snares that person, and the rest of the team ganks them.
Yep.
That's a less than 2-second kill.
That's I've had that happen to me multiple times early game against Pikachu's. I've been electrowebbed and then just melted.
Yep.
So I think
really
that
strong.
if
Pikachu's really good early game with basically everybody because he has Electro Web. He's a really good lane ally for basically every poke in the game.
Yep.
And he's ranked like he's just a really solid early to mid game choice. But he's another one of these pokes that struggles if your team struggles. Like your team has to know, like it's on you to play it correctly, but your team also has to know, like, look, we have a literal like fragile Fabergé egg that we have to protect while also playing this game.
Yes.
So it's interesting. So Slowbro, Brandon, I know Connor is always like, bro, you should play Slowbro. Because
he plays Slowbro.
I think your Slowbro is your best character in terms of your tanks or supports.
I would agree.
What are you thinking? Like, I think he's really good.
Yeah.
Talk to us.
I would definitely put this in the B or A tier. It's so hard to choose who I think is better as a tank between Snorlax and Slowbro. I think they're both really good for different reasons.
Right now, he is the only ranged tank ranged defender class in the game. Everybody else is melee in the defender.
Yep.
When Blastoise comes out, he'll be another ranged one. Woo!
Yeah.
But as of right now, he's the only ranged tank. That's why I personally love him the most. I don't necessarily think overall he might be the best. Snorlax is probably a little better.
Yeah.
But I do like Slowbro personally because he's ranged and he has, like, early game he can shoot out Water Gun. Nice little bit of range damage. I like Scald. Lots of good damage. I know you're a Surf guy.
I'm gonna go on record here. I'm gonna put this out on the internet. Do not go Scald.
I love Scald. It's great damage, good AOE. It's a
Justin
very big. It's a big
Scald.
AOE. It's an AOE slow. It does a lot of damage and it burns them, so it's like it's doing a lot of, like, the Surf is good, but I don't like the Surf as an engage. I like the Surf as a disengage.
But which is funny because I love starting team fights with Surf.
Yeah. It's just a different play style. Like when I play the Slowbro, I play more like the bodyguard get off me. So like if Connor's playing Machamp, I'll play Slowbro to like make sure that when they jump on him, I'll give him room to breathe, and he can then choose his and he's not drawing all that.
Yep.
I'm basically resetting the enemy aggro.
Yep.
In my playstyle.
I love slack off early game. It's really nice if your opponent or your partners can take the berries if you guys get pushed off, and then you can slack off on the base. Let your partner take the berries, and then you guys get right back into the fight. I love his early game survivability. I love his late game survivability.
His ability. His passive ability.
Yeah, to not take damage at full at first.
Every
telekinesis
telekinesis is
so
a
oppressive.
Must.
If
you don't take amnesia ever.
If
you literally, like, this is one thing, like with the Surf or the Scald, you literally can do either one because they fill different roles. But in my opinion, amnesia's,
I think it's worse.
As close to worthless as an ability can be in comparison to what telekinesis offers.
I think with team coordination, telekinesis, absolutely oppressive.
Yes,
absolutely oppressive. Pick opponents up, they just get melted.
For League of Legends people out here, telekinesis is literally a miniature melt. He has a Malzahar ultimate as just his regular ability, and then his Unite move is another version of Malzahar ultimate, which then has built-in spell vamp, so it then heals him while also slurps them. It does a lot of damage. Yep. So he has two Malzahar ultimates, single target, tether, locks them down. It's just insane.
Yep, I'm running this Pokemon with an Aos cookie, so every time I score, I get additional HP. I'm also running a Focus Band for more survivability in a pinch, and I can go drop 1 point, get an additional. I got level
stack.
I got level 10 Aos cookie, and I don't know where that caps, but I know you can do it 2 or 3 times and get HP, and that's just.
And it's still early into the 2 weeks, so you have been experimenting with different items. You may have a lot of fun with them.
Yeah. So that's my opinion on Slowbro. I definitely love him.
Definitely, Connor. So I know you're a big fan of Slowbro. Do you have anything you want to round out?
I personally, he's my favorite tanking character right now, so nice. I would put him A if it was me, but that's only because he has 2 solid CC options in telekinesis and his ultimate, like you said, not to mention Surf as another AoE, just absolutely punishes. I can't tell you how many times I play Cinderace and I'm chasing somebody down and here comes Slowbro, derp derp derp, Surf, and then I die because I'm Squish Ball. And if you're a Squish Ball and you get stuck in all 3 waves of Surf,
it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of damage and a lot of CC. You're stuck for all 3 waves. I agree. It's a long time to be like just in the air.
Literally just running around derp while I'm in the surf. He's not even auto attacking me.
So let me ask you, Connor. I agree. Let me ask you. Who do you think is a better tank? If you had to put only one tank in the A tier between Snorlax and Slowbro, which would it be?
Snorlax's block takes the cake.
I think Snorlax is the reason that Slowbro is B tier. Because Snorlax
is A tier.
Yeah, because that block, with Rocky Helmet leftovers and Assault Vest.
He just never dies.
And then blocking, and then an Eldegoss.
Oh, yeah. Like, you can have a Snorlax literally tank 1v5. Or 2v5. We've seen that before to where it's just like, this dude doesn't die.
Yeah.
Starting to see double tank, so people are running Crustle, Snorlax.
Yeah, we have seen that a couple times.
Yeah, we got rolled by that.
Uh-huh. Hey, we got the Retribution kill the next game.
Oh, yeah.
We fought that same team.
Yep.
We killed it. Yep, 5v5, and we got him. That felt so good. All right, so yeah, Snorlax. I think we're all in agreement. I think if Doug was here, he'd agree too. Snorlax is right now is top dog defender. He is the best defender role in the game.
Heavy Slam's broken. Don't ever take anything but Heavy Slam.
Yeah, don't take the double slap. Or
He's
whatever it is.
My favorite Pokemon ever, so I love Snorlax.
There is an argument for like Yawn. I think Yawn is good. I do think Block is better, especially for pushing people off of...
Yawn is good because it does have a good like cone.
Yeah.
And it's just point, click, boom, you're asleep. So, but again, that's more of like the team coordination. Block is better for solo queue. Because it gives you the damage reduction. It literally stops them from going through you, so you become like a barrier or a Crustle wall.
Yep.
It's
you can people to push them back.
You literally can just like bulldoze through them.
You can push them off of your own base to stop from scoring. You can push them off their own base so your partners can score, and you can push them into walls if you want to melt a DPS character.
Yep.
That's why I love Block.
Block is insane.
I've also blocked people while we're spawn camping.
Yep.
I've thrown up a block and just moved up and down on their base. Stops them from coming to the base while we're scoring double points.
Early game, him having the ability to use rest, which is like a better version of Slack Off because it gives the damage reduction.
Yeah.
And it heals more. And then his ultimate, it's a giant AoE. Like, you ever remember jumping on trampolines as a kid, and there's that one kid that always really, bop, bomb, and everyone just goes flying? That's Snorlax when he does Heavy Slam and then his ulti.
And he's unkillable. He's unkillable.
He's like Dr. Mundo, so he's just super strong. Best tank in the game.
Flip over in his ult, and I've gotten kills that way because people didn't realize I was going to flip over. And I flipped over on top of him, and I love it.
Absolutely.
Everybody get kills.
So we're going to talk about Talonflame. Now, Talonflame was my starter Pokemon. Doug loves Talonflame, plays him a lot, and Connor has picked up Talonflame quite a bit and put in quite a bit of work the first 2 weeks. Unfortunately, I do feel like he does fall behind out of all the other speedsters, and just in general, I don't think, like, he's so squishy. He's really, really, really next to, like, I don't think necessarily, I think he might be as bad as Ghastly in terms of early game, like, Fletchling sucks. You have to have Fletchender before you do anything. Right, Connor?
Yeah, I agree. Cinderace or not Cinderace. I'm sorry. I love Cinderace.
Yeah,
Cinderace
is fire types.
Fletchender. It's you have to evolve before you can really do anything. And outside of ganking, I don't really like Talonflame for the team fights. I feel like I'm too squished. I know I can get people out of position and pick up people. But I'm used to doing a lot of DPS in a fight, and I would rather do a lot of DPS in a fight than do positional, awareness with a DPS.
Yeah, especially to have to like hold back because you're afraid to go in is sort of.
If I'm bulky and I do CC, great. But if I'm squishy and I do CC, I'm all set, man. Unless I do crazy DPS, I don't want to do.
He's good and he's really fast. Gale Wings is awesome. The higher HP, the faster he goes, and he's got the fly mechanic to just like I'm out. But it's like Pikachu or something. Like late game is even when you're fully evolved to Talonflame. Like he's a 3-stage poke, but he still dies to a stiff breeze.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm letting my team down. I feel like when I'm playing, they just die so much, and it's like, cool, another 20 seconds, I'm out of the game, guys, because I went for a Brave Bird and I either missed or I didn't see one of his teammates by him.
Exactly, and you're just dead. I agree.
Yep.
So, big news here. So pre-patch, I'm gonna put Venusaur at B. Venusaur, Resident Grass Leader. I know everybody's played Venu, basically.
Yes.
In the squad. We all love Venusaur. Brandon has a lot of experience. I know, Connor, you do too. But pre-patch, I'm going to call him as a B tier. I think he's way better than Charizard. Bulbasaur is one of
He's always better than Charizard, dude.
Bulbasaur is probably tied with Froakie or better than Froakie in terms of level 1.
So good.
Yeah, Bulbasaur is probably the best level 1 in terms of all the 3-stage pokes.
I think so too.
He's so good.
I think he has a good presence early game. He's got a good presence when he's Ivysaur.
Seed-Bomb does a lot. His Razor Leaf is good range. The Vine Whip knock up every third auto is really strong. His ability's good. Once he gets Razor Leaf plus Seed Bomb combo does a lot of damage, and they can't stand there and try to auto trade you things like Cinderace or Score Bunny. You win that trade literally every time if he tries to stand in your Leaf Storm.
Yep.
I keep saying Leaf Storm, but it's Razor Leaf. But the R2. After patch, I think he considerably went up to either A or S.
I think as we go on, he's going to be S tier for sure.
Me and Connor are of the same mind. I think Brandon runs him a little differently, but me and Connor love frontline build now with the Giga Drain, Pedal Dance. I personally have been running Score Shield, Rocky Helmet, and Lefties. Connor runs Lefties, Rocky Helmet plus Assault Vest. So and you are legit tanky. I was full health out of a lot of those fights, and Giga Drain healing. I personally run on top of that build. I also then run Potion as my battle item.
Yep. So I run full range, all of his ranged attacks, and I also run. So I go
Sludge Bomb, Solar Beam.
I run Sludge Bomb, Solar Beam, and I run. As far as items go, I go almost all special attack boosting items. So I do ranged damage with him. So obviously we run him different ways.
And that's the beautiful part. There are options. Unlike Charizard, where they try to do, he doesn't really do one thing well. Venusaur, they did it better, where you can do a mix and match or spec, and he still feels good.
I personally think that maybe Cinderace is a better damage character as far as DPS, but in my opinion, he's
definitely for auto. Greninja and Cinderace are more of the marksman auto attackers, and then. People like the Pikachu and Alolan Ninetales and Venusaur feel more of the spellcaster mage class, I guess.
Post patch, I think this is an A tier.
Yeah.
When I look at the Pokemon in B tier, I think he's significantly better. So
where would you put him B tier pre-patch? Would you put him right in here?
I'd put him at the top of B tier.
Top of B tier?
And just a disclaimer, this isn't a necessary order.
No, I would personally put him right here.
Maybe.
I think this is pre-patch. I think Ninetales, because again, Ninetales is teetering between A and B.
Yeah.
And pre-patch, I don't think Venusaur is that good.
Yeah. Post-patch, I think A tier.
Post-patch, I'm going to put Venusaur here.
Yeah. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I will say that pre-patch, the frontline build that Justin was talking about, where we're maxing out our HP, we're giving ourselves defense and special defense buffs, we're using leftovers, we're using Pedal Dance, we're using Giga Drain. Remember, Giga Drain not only heals you, but it also gives you a damage reduction.
Yeah, on the first upgrade, that's right. And then Pedal Dance, so we're not running the X speed or eject button, because Pedal Dance gives you a built-in move speed buff every time you click that. So not only are you just shredding AoE dot damage every second just by being around you, you also get move speed buff, so you can get in and out of the fight in position easier. You just start hopping around at max speed.
I think the most important thing about Venusaur, at least for me personally, is his ultimate's ability to snipe Zapdos.
Yes, I've done that too.
Really good. So it's a long-range bomb, and then the seeds explode outside. So it's the first AoE, then the second AoE from the bouncing. It's really good.
Yep.
So now we're on the tough. So it's really tough to place tough, because tough is really... Wigglytuff is actually really good. I like Wiggles a lot. I really genuinely like Wiggles. But she's a melee support, and she doesn't heal.
Yeah.
She's got a lot of lockdown. She's got a lot of damage. And she's really annoying with Sing, and she can just stick to you like glue. But she doesn't heal. But I do think she's better than Eldegoss.
She's got my favorite auto attack in the game. I love the slapping sound. It's so funny.
I'm going to put Wiggles here in C tier. I do like her ultimate. Gives her big AoE shield. Anybody around you in your team also gets the shield. Really, really good. The rollout is nice, but Sing is better, especially in team plays.
Yep.
Double Slap is good. I then evolved that to Dazzling Gleam because it's the cone and it's the little mini snare, little mini stun for half a second. It's really good. But she's better with team play. Like, if this is a 5-man team, I'd place her. I'd give her an entire tier jump. She'd be up to B tier for me.
Yep.
But just in terms of like solo queue and just people on the interwebs, I'm gonna put her C tier. Anybody else have anything to say about the Wiggles?
No, not really. I think when you play her and we did team games, I thought you did a really good job. She was a really nice support. But yeah, I kind of agree with
In
what
5-man squads.
Yeah.
I think the melees can get her into trouble, especially in solo queue. Like, you'll try to go up with Jiggly early, and it's just like, no,
Your
you gotta
friends
wait.
bail on you.
You gotta
like,
wait.
Whoa,
You gotta
go?
back
Where'd you
off.
go, guys? Yeah. All right, Zeraora.
Zeraora, Mr. Broken himself. I personally think he might be, especially pre-patch, I think he was the best Pokemon in the game.
I think Gengar was, but
Okay, you
we
put
can agree.
Gengar here?
I think Gengar was the best Pokemon in the game pre-patch.
Pre-patch, okay, we'll put Gengar top and Zeraora close second.
Yeah.
And then I personally liked Lucario above Absol, but just barely.
Okay.
So Zeraora, what do we think about the kitty cat?
Let
Connor,
me tell you
want
a
to start
story.
with this?
Can I tell a story about the kitty cat?
Absolutely, go for it.
I have a coworker who plays Warcraft. He doesn't play MOBAs. He picked up Pokemon Unite last week. He said he played 3 games with Zeraora and 3 games with Gengar, and he didn't want to play the game anymore because it was too easy.
Yep, that's how it feels,
Word
man.
for word, what he said. And I was like, okay, cool, nice.
So yeah, Zeraora's got a lot of mobility. So he is melee speedster, but he's got just, like all of these S tiers, they have 2 things in common. They have a lot of damage, burst damage, and they have a lot of spammable mobility.
Oh my gosh, the mobility.
That's what all these that's how you win these games, is just going in and out of the fights. So Zeraora, he starts off with agility. It's just like kind of like quick attack with Lucario, but then it evolves and you get the Spark.
Yeah.
And Spark gets 3 ammo, so you can jump up to 3 times, and you can either hit opponents, you can hit enemy Pokemon, or you can just jump into just to get away.
Yeah.
Really, 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 really good. And then you can also do Wild Charge, is my favorite, because it becomes intargetable, does a lot of damage, and it's one of those things where if there's like 2 enemies standing next to each other, it'll jump between the 2 and hit both, so you get spread damage. Otherwise, you do the Volt Switch, which is the one that PMC Sport Ninja, Doug, has been using.
Yep.
So and then his ultimate has the discharge is really good. It's the big
super crazy
it's
damage.
So
and then he gets buffed.
His ultimate is insane. Like, Zeraora is just broken. I mean, he is a legendary or mythical. So for anybody that doesn't know, you log on day 1 with the Switch, you get Zeraora. That's how you do it. He's in the gift section of the events or whatever. But he's really, really strong. Does anybody else have anything to say about Zeraora? He's I think everybody agrees he's one of the best characters in the game, if not the best.
I would say if you want easy MVPs, just play Zeraora, because speedsters definitely. Nerf
this boy.
Yeah, let's talk about Gardevoir. Let's wrap this up.
So Hoenn here. This is the last poke here on the list. DLC. This is my new main right now. My best character at the moment. Brandon, Psychic Rep, one of your favorite characters of all time, one of your top 10 favorite characters of all time.
Yep.
We both love Gardevoir, so I'm going to let you lead off, and I'm going to kind of close off some thoughts here, and we'll let Connor give anything, because I don't know if he's played Gardevoir yet.
I have.
Oh, you have? Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna let you 2 go first, and then I'll close. So Brandon, take us away.
So this is one that I think you and I feel differently about, and that's fine.
That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Tell me.
I would put this Pokemon in B tier. However, I think I'll let you have the final word on Gardevoir and the final placement. I would put her in B tier because me as a newer player, this is the Pokemon. When I play this Pokemon, I have the hardest time getting going with this Pokemon. I think leveling up at level 6 is
because Ralts
is bad.
Yeah,
Ralts is really bad
because you only have 1 damaging spell, and then your other one is Teleport, and there's no AOE like. You can jump around with Gengar, and when you land, his Hex, where he lands, has an AoE splash damage.
Yep.
Teleport doesn't do that. It's literally just a blink.
I'm
not gonna lie. I love laning against a Ralts because I feel like it's such an easy way for me to gank.
Yeah, it's like a Gibble, right? Like super free early. Or a Charmander. It's just like, I'm going to bully you.
I do realize...
You're screwed.
Yep.
I do realize that late game this Pokemon has like devastating damage.
Insane. Truly mind-boggling numbers once you get up to Gardevoir.
The ultimate is the best tool to snipe Zapdos or to team wipe a team that's going to... It's the best way to secure Zapdos, I think.
It's one of the best team fighting ultimate. Like, if you pair a good team with, like... Imagine a team with Gardevoir plus Ninetales plus Venusaur. Those 3 ultimates right there will literally and then if you got a Machamp right here, and then Pikachu. Like, if these are your 5 squad members right here, and you all just press your ZL at the same time, you're gonna murder all 5 pokes just from the AoE splash.
Yep. So to just kind of cap off what I was gonna say, I think the lack of movement options, especially late, I think is really tough for her. Like, Moonblast is nice, you get a little stun, but you almost always have to run eject button with this Pokemon because the mobility is really bad.
I run eject button every game.
The mobility is bad. There's not a lot of CC options outside of Moonblast, which is only a tiny stun. Closing the gap on this Pokemon is really easy. And I think the fact that it takes so long to get going is really bad. You could be Ralts for 4 or 5 minutes if you're not doing well in lane. And
she needs hand-holding.
Yep.
Hand-holding. So, Connor, what do you think?
I agree with all of that. Personally, playing her, I love her ult. Her ultimate in combination with Future Shock or Future Sight, whatever. It basically deletes people from the game.
It's amazing. It's so much damage.
Personally, playing her for 10-minute matches, it's not worth playing the other 2 evolutions for 7 minutes. I'm sorry.
Yes, that's kind of where I'm at too.
Unless I'm playing with you guys and we have good farm and good momentum, I can do it in a fight and I can play her. But in a pickup game, you need to have someone guard her. You do until she gets to her. Once she gets Future Sight, then she can start contributing, because that move, once she turns into Curly and she gets it, boom, she contributes.
So this is actually where I'm going to come in here. I agree with most of what everybody said in terms of the negatives. I definitely agree with everything. Ralts struggles a lot. Doesn't have a lot of damage. The auto attacks are not very damaging, and they're not very fast. But Confusion does a lot of damage in its long range, and it passes through, so you can hit multiple targets.
True, and Moonblast stuns.
Yes, and Moonblast stuns, but that's pretty late. So Ralts kind of sucks.
Ralts really sucks.
Ralts basically does nothing but Confusion and autos, and then runs away. But what he's good at is baiting, because people will run in on you, and you have 2 blinks with the way that we all recommend you run with the eject button and then teleport. You can get people to overextend, and you and your ally are still doing a lot of damage. Like, your ally, whoever they are, is just like, okay, you're chasing the Ralts, but I'm literally pink. Like, we've gotten kills from people just over Absols and Lucarios trying to think that they can jump on me, and it's like, well, no, I got away, and you're dead.
Yep.
Like, I'm going to put her A tier for one reason only. She scales really well, and it doesn't take that... If you can get to Kirlia, I think Kirlia is the strongest ranged attacking second stage out of all of them. I think she's stronger than Frogadier.
I would agree.
I think she's stronger than Raboot. Even though they're different, she's the spellcaster, and they're the auto attack like marksman. I love Future Sight, but even more so with a more capital L, I love Psyshock. Because Psyshock drops 3 bombs, and because, like Brandon said, it's good to close the gap. It's easy to close the gap on her. Psyshock makes that a lot more difficult. I run a combination of Moonblast plus Psyshock. So I have a stun for AoE team fights, and I've got triple bombs to drop. And the early game is Kirlia. If you do Future Sight, you still have a lot of damage, but you're playing more into that, like, I need time to scale up, because then you have that bigger delay.
Yeah.
With Psyshock, you drop 3. So even if you miss 1, you can still hit the other 2.
Yep.
And if they're chasing you, it will follow you, and they'll take all 3 bombs on their head, and then they stop chasing you. And you can stun them too, and all of a sudden your teammate, like, there's just so much utility. I feel like, personally, when I get Kirlia, I'm, like, twice as strong as what I should be by just evolving normally, because Psyshock is just so... Like, I can clear a whole team fight, because now I have... Even though it's still just, like, Confusion, I can do damage, AoE damage there, and then it's just so much AoE damage to bring. Like, once a jungler comes up, like, we instantly just win that 2v2 or a 2v3 or a 3v3, like if we have even or more numbers, I feel like we just win as long as your positioning's right.
Yep.
And then late game, once you get, I usually get to Gardevoir about 4 minutes into the game, 4:20 or so before 5 minutes in. I'm about 4 minutes in the game, I usually get Gardevoir, and then the rest of the game I'm Gardevoir and I'm nuking people. And I really don't find that much of an issue. Maybe it's just my personal play style, but I feel like if you play to her strengths, especially in a team setting, she's even better. But in solo queue, the ability to just be like, I have a stun, I can have massive AoE Psyshock or Future Sight damage, and then the ulti, which is AoE and CC.
Yep.
It's just so good for a team fight. I feel like it just plays really well to that solo queue mentality, to where like you don't need a team to do well other than your early game is Ralts, which that's on you to just farm anyways.
Yeah.
All you got to do is just not try to fight.
Yep. Yep.
So personally, I think she's A tier. I think she just does she's literally does more damage than almost anybody in the game.
Yep.
So yes, she's squishy and she has a mobility issue, but it's about anybody that's played Syndra or Karma. Another one would be sort of kind of like a Xerath in terms of like you're that low mobility, stationary, just massive turret damage in League, like those type of characters. And Karma was one of my best characters. I got up to Platinum 2 in my mid lane for League of Legends. Karma being my main and Malzahar being my secondary. So these low mobility control mages are sort of my specialty.
Yep.
So that's why I feel this way. So if you do find yourself to be really affluent in that role, I feel like Gardevoir's as close to perfect as you can get. And I feel like Ralts' squishiness and low damage is mitigated by the fact that Confusion is long range and it goes through people. So you can hit both of your enemies. Like if they're coming at you, you just shoot out and you can hit like the Slowbro and the Score Bunny behind them with one big giant burst. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute. We both took a chunk there. And then your ally can be like, oh, well, if I'm Pikachu or whatever, I can stun. And there's so many options to follow up early because you have a lot of team fighting presence. It's kind of like the Seed Bomb with a less effective version of the Seed Bomb, but she scales better in terms of that long range back damage.
Yep.
I don't like the Venusaur for that long range back damage as much. Even with the Sludge Bomb Solar Beam, Sludge Bomb is not that long range where Solar Beam is still. So
Yep. So we're gonna wrap it up. We talked for way longer. Than
we talked for a
would.
lot, but
Yeah,
this was really fun to have Connor on here to give his perspective. Obviously, you coming from Dota, me from League, and Brandon being the noob. It was really fun to have you on, man. Is there any closing thoughts you want to talk about?
Yeah, thank you guys. The Dota background and the Heroes of the Storm background coming into this game is so much more fun than those other games. Like, plus not having the toxic chat. Oh,
yep.
Yeah.
Better community, shorter game times. We love it.
Thank you guys very much for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We definitely look forward to having you on and more videos in the future. And thank you for all your commentary in the Unite videos that we've already posted and in the future.
Yeah.
Until next time, this is our official for the 2 weeks pre-patch. This is kind of where we're sitting for our tier list. This is our PMC first official Unite tier list. And until next time, I've been Gym Leader Justin.
I'm Zero.
Class is dismissed.